From district attorneys representing 5 counties across the state, including San Mateo County, admitting this fraud is growing out of control. And the worst part is the vast majority of this aid that should be in the hands of struggling families will likely never be repaid.
It is perhaps and will be one of the biggest fraud of taxpayer dollars in California history.
$1 billion worth of unemployment benefits now in the pockets of tens of thousands of inmates across the state. To give you an idea of the type of criminals cashing in, Scott Peterson was one of the names used.
It involves rapists and child molesters, human traffickers, and other violent criminals in our state prisons.
From March to August, 35,000 claims have been filed in the name of California state prison inmates. This includes 133 inmates currently on death row. To put it in perspective, 20,000 of those claims have been paid since August, amounting to $140 million.
It's scary how much money has been lost, not to it went the wrong way, but stolen. It's stolen money.
The San Mateo County DA's office was one of the first to uncover this fraud scheme in California, where 21 inmates, including these 8 at a Redwood City Correctional Facility, were charged for defrauding the state out of $250,000 worth of unemployment benefits.
We figured, it's probably in some other county jails too. But to find out that it's a theft of hundreds of millions going throughout our state prison, going to death row even, that has to stop that.
So how does it stop? And why didn't the state catch this? The reason stems from the lack of a cross-examining system that would ensure incarceration data is matched against EDD claims.
We need to turn off the spigot. Right now, there is no cross-matching between the incarceration data and EDD on a routine basis like it's being done in 35 other states.
An issue 9 district attorneys across the state voiced in a letter to the governor, requesting help on the urgent matter. State Senator Scott Wiener agrees it must be a priority.
We need to take a look at why we're not cross-referencing. If there's a statute that prevents them from cross-referencing, clearly that has to be changed.
A policy change necessary to help the hundreds of thousands of people like Brittany and Ben.
All of my money on that card, like I can't even go get food.
I haven't been able to pay October's rent because of that.
Stephanie, lots of this fraud is in the name of inmates, but did some inmates actually receive benefits from multiple claims?
Yes, we learned today some inmates received benefits from as many as 16 different claims. In fact, the highest claims paid went to death row inmates that amounted up to $20,000.
Investigation announced by the DAs across California, including Sacramento and El Dorado counties. Prosecutors say that scammers have made hundreds of millions of dollars by using the names of jail and prison inmates to get unemployment payments.
It's thought to be the largest taxpayer fraud scheme in state history. We have been following EDD fraud issues for months now, uncovering issues with the department. And in fact, our KCRA3 investigation of EDD was highlighted by prosecutors as they're now demanding action from Governor Newsom.
The inmates in the Sacramento County Jail are also involved in this fraud investigation. The task force believes this is a combination of lone actors, organized rings, and even identity theft, but it does include the names of notorious convicted murderers. You mentioned Scott Peterson, but also Wesley Shermantine from the Speed Freak Killers in San Joaquin County and serial killer Carrie Stainer. EDD has been under sharp scrutiny as record claims overwhelm the state unemployment agency. But even this is staggering, as more than 1 million Californians went weeks, months even, without benefits. The EDD fraud task force found inmates within every prison and jail in the state collected unemployment.
That may well amount to upwards of $1 billion having already been paid.
Between March and August, at least 35,000 claims were filed in the names of inmates, 20,000 of which already paid.
These criminals, these murderers, these rapists.
Of those claims, at least 133 were the names of death row inmates. And the EDD fraud is so widespread, every county jail in the state is reporting losses. So, how did this happen?
Applications for unemployment benefits were made on behalf of inmates by persons on the outside who were friends and relatives.
Can the upwards of $1 billion be returned?
When you're talking about thousands of convicted felons that are engaged in this behavior, despite best efforts, the practical reality is the vast majority of this money will never be repaid.
And as the EDD backlog continues, the task force warns the fraud within prisons and jails is still happening.
That we have asked and implored the governor to get involved himself to turn the spigot off.
But even this is staggering, as more than 1 million Californians went weeks, months even, without benefits. Inmates within every prison and jail in the state collected unemployment.
It is perhaps and will be one of the biggest fraud of taxpayer dollars in California history.